Collaboration will save the planet with HubGum. This session with Natalie from HubGum is putting the team into green, and it's all about tips for successful collaboration in the evolution to a more sustainable future. Young people have a critical role to play in this process, and by the end of this session, we hope everyone will feel inspired to create a real practical change, not alone, but by truly connecting with others around them. HubGum is an environmental charity engaging with people in their everyday lives to explore ways to be more sustainable. Collaboration is central to their approach, having partnered with over 700 organisations, including Starbucks, TK Maxx and IKEA.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for that incredibly kind introduction. Welcome, everyone, to the last day of the Youth Climate Summit, and specifically welcome to this session, which is all about effective teamwork. If you have any queries along the way, please post them in the chat and I will get to them at the end of the session. So just to kick off, my name is Natalie Bayliss and I'm from environmental charity Hubbub, where our reason for getting out of bed in the morning is to inspire everyday action that is good for you and the world around you. And from experience, we have found an essential ingredient to inspiring this action is teamwork or collaboration, which you are actually all already doing, simply by attending this amazing summit, as you have joined hundreds of other young people and adults to learn more about how to make a positive difference to the world. Job done. I could go and get a cup of tea now, but just in case any of you are still curious to learn more, let's take a closer look at what this collaboration thing is all about. So I'm trying to move on to the next slide, but that's not working for me at the moment. So I wonder if someone who's an IT whiz, thank you very much. So in this slide, I'd like you all to just take a close look at this photo. It's a football match, Natalie. I can hear you all say through the internet, yes, it is a football match, but I want you to spot the two important dynamics going on here. The first is the competition going on between the blues and the yellows. It's a competition. One side will win and the other will lose. And I can guarantee you that the team that wins will be doing something much better than the other side. And that is where we come on to the second dynamic I wanted you to all look out for. And that is teamwork or collaboration. There's obviously collaboration going on within the team where they're all passing and defending to support the ball going in their preferred direction, ideally. But it's not only collaboration within the team that matters. Take a look at the back of the photo. All those hundreds of people in the background are making a difference as well. The fans are part of the teamwork dynamic, as without their support and cheering, the teams would not be as focused on their shared common goal, the goal of winning. So what happens when we apply these dynamics to the environment? So again, I'm going to need some help moving to the next slide, please. Thank you. So when it comes to the environment, competition can be great, as it can make some things so much more fun. And sometimes competition can also drive some people to work even harder just to beat someone else. The thing with the environment, though, is that we all want the same thing for everyone. We all want a bright and healthy future on our shared home, planet Earth. So I wonder if someone could help me click on, there we go, competition, and there we have, thank you. And so with competition, we have winners and losers. And And the thing is that when we're trying to focus on our shared home and trying to protect it, we don't actually want there to be winners and losers where someone benefits at someone else's cost. So if you could click on again, please. And so this results in something called a zero-sum game, when you have someone winning and someone losing. So this is a little bit like hosting a birthday party and keeping all the cake for yourself. Whilst that's delicious, although you might feel a little bit sick, how can you possibly enjoy your party if everyone is miserably watching you gobbling up all the cake? It's unlikely you'll get many guests at your next party. This is where collaboration comes in. So I wonder if you could click on, please, kind IT person. And again, here we are on collaboration. And so this is where collaboration comes in. When it comes to the environment, we want everyone to win. We want everyone to share the cake. We want everyone putting together to achieve the same goal where everyone benefits. We want everyone collaborating. So I wonder if you could move on to the next slide, please. So, other than everyone getting a slice of cake, there are some very special reasons why collaboration is such a brilliant way to tackle really big changes like climate change. Firstly, we've all had days where we feel like we can conquer the world, and other days when we just want to stay under the duvet. Now, hopefully you all now know that you don't have to do this alone. You shouldn't do it alone. You should be looking for support from others, as nobody can always be running at full speed all the time. We need people to support us. We need new ideas when we're feeling a bit stuck. And that is the power of sharing with others. So I wonder if you could click down, please. So thank you. So as I was saying, it's not limited to one person. We don't want it being limited to one person. And then speaking of ideas, and when you're feeling a bit stuck, the more ideas, the merrier. The more people you have collaborating with you, the more ideas and skills you will have to create inspirational change. And then if you click onto the next point, please, that would be lovely. So with all these different people that you're collaborating and working with and making the most of, the more people you have contributing and supporting, the more of a splash you can make, the greater the impact and the greater the influence. So apologies for the tech issues here, guys. I hope you're still being able to follow me. So we're on that fourth bullet point now, which is where collaboration, so it takes a crowd to attract a crowd. This is where collaboration takes advantage of natural human behavior. As we're all a little bit nosy, we're all curious about what others are up to and don't like that feeling of being left out. Imagine the playground where there is a big gathering of children. We're all programmed to be drawn into that group just to find out what the fuss is all about. And that is important when it comes to getting lots of people to take action to protect the environment. It takes a crowd to attract a crowd. And the amazing thing about the size of the crowd is that a very clever Harvard research scientist studied all the big campaigns for change throughout history, including concepts like women getting the right to vote, through to changing the ruler in the Philippines and a country called Georgia. It turns out that through all her research, she discovered it only takes around 3.5% of the population actively participating in the campaign to ensure change. And lots of these campaigns succeeded with far less than that. So if, like me, you find 3.5% a little bit of a difficult idea to kind of understand, take a look at this pie chart at the bottom. That tiny red sliver in the blue circle is all you need. So if you've got a school of 100 pupils, it should take just 4 of you to be motivated to help the environment to create real change in your school. So change becomes unstoppable when an idea from an individual creates a group, and that group soon becomes a crowd, and that crowd leads to a movement. But you need that first spark of collaboration to create this unstoppable force. So don't forget that tiny red sliver. That's all you need to create this amazing force for good. So after all these sort of top points, I can feel you are all getting interested in collaborating. So before we do that, a few more tips. Brace yourselves. So could we go to the next slide, please? Nope, we're waiting. This is the joy. This is collaboration in action here. I can't move the slide on, and so I'm having to get someone else to do it. So here we go. You can judge my collaboration skills from this. So when you are collaborating with people, you will find that you have to talk to people who are often very different to you. For example, I was not sure how I was ever going to get anything done with my team. So there's me, and then there's Canna. Now, Canna is lovely, but she's from a different country to me. How was I ever going to have a conversation with someone who's from a completely different country to me? Then there's Truin. Now, he likes cats. Now, I'm sorry to all the cat lovers out there, but I am hugely allergic to cats. I start sneezing, my eyes puff up, it's terrible. So how am I ever going to be in a room with a man who likes cats? And then there's Effie. Now, Effie, if you click on, drinks coffee. Now, I'm afraid I am a tea drinker through and through. How am I going to sit in a meeting with someone who sits drinking coffee rather than tea? We have nothing in common. And then there's Susha. So I'm sure some of you might have noticed that Susha is a lot younger than me. So we don't have any common ground. I'm not sure what we can talk about. And then there's Jack. Jack is a boy. How am I going to talk to him? He's completely different to me. And the problem is, if we go to the next slide, our differences don't stop there. But this is where it gets exciting, because I have a business background. Canna, she's science smart, so she knows all there is to know about science. Then there's Truin, who knows everything about the environment. And Effie, who's a creative genius. She's the one that made this presentation look as beautiful as it does. And then there's Susha, who is a social media whiz kid. Any ideas that need to get out through Instagram, Twitter, she is your lady. And then there's Jack, who is a tech genius. And so when you put us all together as a team, it turns out we are good at quite a lot of things. And also, once we got talking, we realized we're not so very different from each other after all, as if you click on the next bit, we all want to help people take everyday action for the environment. And if we click on one more, we all like chocolate. So actually, we've got a lot in common, and our differences make us stronger. So on to the next slide, please. So here you can see a beautiful rainforest on one side of the screen and a field of one plant or a monoculture on the other. And so when you look at collaboration, you see it's at its best when our differences are properly harnessed, as they are our strength. They give us resilience, and collaboration allows our individual skills to add up to something much more powerful. Think of the many benefits of the rainforest versus this monoculture. In the rainforest, you have all sorts of small beasties to top predators, tiny fungi to ancient trees, all collaborating to create a thriving ecosystem where the air is being cleaned, carbon is being stored away, the water is purified. All creatures have something or someone to eat. Everyone has a home. The old nurtures the new. I could go on, but I think you get the idea. Whereas when you look at the other side of the screen and you look at the industrially farmed field, it's supporting nothing but one plant. And often, if it was left to its own devices without any fertilizers or watering, it would not last for long. It's most certainly not sustainable. So, one more thought when it comes to effective collaboration, and that is who should make a difference. So let's go on to the next slide. Collaboration in action here. So that's, as I said, who should make a difference. And so you can sometimes find people are asking this question as you have different groups starting to find excuses as to why someone else should be working harder than them. So to use an example of what can happen in schools, not any of your schools, I'm sure, but let's just use this idea here where teachers, if you have a brilliant idea, they can say, well, actually, I think it's the responsibility of the parents. And then the parents turn to their children and say, well, actually, guys, I think it's the pupils' responsibility. You're the ones that need to make this happen. And then the pupils turn around and say, well, hang on, we can't do anything without the teacher's support. So this is a pretty negative situation to get yourselves into. The good news is that all you need to do is remind everyone that they are all trying to achieve the same goal. So rather than discussing who should be doing the most work, let's go on to the next slide. We just need to remind everyone that we all have a role to play. So the sooner we start working together, the sooner we will solve the big environmental challenges we need to overcome. So never take any excuses from anyone deciding it's someone else's responsibility, as we can all make a difference. So speaking of making a difference, let me give you some examples of some young people that have really made a difference by deciding to take action to drive environmental action through big collaborations. So here we have Melati and Isabel, who were 10 and 12 years old when they started their campaign to reduce the plastic they kept finding washed up on their local beach in Bali. By talking to friends and family, they started Bye Bye Plastic Bags, which is now an organisation of, wait for it, over 50 teams around the world. And in 2019, Bali, the government, legally banned styrofoam, plastic bags, and plastic straws as a result of this amazing collaboration started by these two young ladies. So next up, we have this young lady who I'm sure most of you are familiar with. In 2018, Greta, so when she was 15 years old, began protesting for stronger action against climate change by holding up a placard outside the Swedish Parliament rather than going to school every Friday. Her placard read, "School Strike for Climate." 1 year later, so just 1 year, over 7 million people around the world joined her in protesting for what is now a global movement called School Strikes for Climate. The next one, we have our very own Ella and Caitlin, who were 9 and 7 when in 2019 they secured over 560,000 signatures for their petition to stop McDonald's and Burger King from handing out unrecyclable plastic toys. By April of this year, in 2020, both companies agreed to stop handing out these toys, potentially saving over 3,300 tons of unrecyclable toys being made every year. All three of these examples are simply phenomenal, and they all started with an idea, which then they spoke to those close to them, and after that conversation, look at the amazing impact that they created, all through collaboration. So not only have these young people had brilliant ideas and created huge movements, but they have also inspired powerful adults to do more for the environment, which we will find out about on the next slide. Thank you. So in the last 6 months, you can go through all of these, actually, there are 6 in total. So in the last 6 months, I have heard each one of these incredibly influential people emphatically explain that they have been inspired to work harder for a greener future as a direct result of young people demanding change. In this list, you've got government leaders, business leaders, and even famous filmmakers. And on top of that, you can add royalty to this list. As I recently heard Prince William explain how inspired he had been by young people in the launch of his new Earthshot Prize, which is giving out 5 £1 million awards every year for the next 10 years to recognise solutions to repair the planet. Hopefully, there will be some future Earthshot applicants attending the summit this week. So, we've talked about collaboration and who's been really good at doing it and who's been inspired by it. Next up, let's get into the nitty-gritty. So on to the next slide. We have the rules of collaboration, or I quite like to call them the golden rules of collaboration. So you have your idea, you've worked out who you want to talk to. I want you all to take a deep breath before you begin that conversation to start collaborating. The first golden rule is to listen and be truly curious about what others have to say. Next up, you have no judgment. There is no such thing as a wrong or a bad idea. One of my favourite examples of this was in 2000 when a teeny tiny company asked for some money from a really big company called Blockbuster. Blockbuster decided the teeny tiny company was a bad idea, so it turned it away. That teeny tiny company was called Netflix and is currently worth over $200 billion. Yes, you heard it right, $200 billion. So, and when you think about it, how many of you under the age of 20 have heard of Blockbuster? So this example is a really important one to keep in mind because you should never underestimate the value of your idea. You never know, it could lead to the next Netflix. So rule number 3, which is make sure everyone contributes. You don't want to miss any ideas. So there are always lots of confident people in the room or in the group, but if you're feeling a little bit shy, dig deep and make sure that you add your ideas to the group. It's really, really important. So rule number 4 is like in the example I was talking about with my team, make the most of each other's strengths. Rule number 5 is no single idea is perfect. Now, this is an important one because it is not about one person finding the answer. The best ideas tend to come from a combination of different concepts and different ideas, and they often involve learning and improving from making lots of mistakes. So always keep building on your ideas. Rule number 6, always remember your shared goal. That's what's motivating you, and that's what you're all driving towards. So keep that focus. The last rule, only 7, is, which is very important, we all come up with the best ideas and collaborations when we're enjoying ourselves. So have fun. So hopefully those 7 ideas have given you all some inspiration and some ideas and on how to focus and harness and make a really effective collaboration. Now I want to move on to an example which is really close to my heart, which is on the next slide, please. So hello to any plastic pioneers watching this. This was an amazing collaboration where Hubbub partnered with TK Maxx across 12 schools around the UK, where in under 6 months, pupil teams masterminded changes in their schools to reduce single-use plastic. As a result of their efforts, thousands of single-use plastic bottles, cutlery cups, coffee cups were saved. And as if this was not enough, in this video, you will see primary school pupils from Coventry working with secondary school pupils from Manchester. They had never met each other before and were incredibly nervous of spending the day together. But by following the golden rules of collaboration, they all came up with some amazing ideas for businesses to reduce their plastic. So whilst this is all about plastic, the strategies they used can be applied to anything to do with protecting the planet. So I want you all to watch this, but paying particular attention to how many times you spot the signs of collaboration. So we're able to. Brilliant, thank you. So I've been working with Plastic Pioneers for 6 months across 12 schools around the UK. It has been phenomenal in terms of seeing just what pupils can do and the changes they can make. And the important thing has been talking to the pupils, making sure that they are deciding what is right for them to make the changes they want to see in school. And so I think today, having the whole thing wrap up with the grand finale of the Ultimate Challenge, it's been an incredible experience seeing all of them working together and realising that they're not alone in this, and actually the power of teamwork and the difference that they can make. And to use Greta's famous line, no one is too small to make a difference. And so today was just a wonderful celebration of all that the Plastic Pioneers pupils have achieved.
I feel very fortunate to have been part of the Ultimate Challenge Day, getting to work with Natalie and Hubbub. The experience has been amazing from start to finish, but the thing that has stood out to me the most is just how much these students already know and how brilliant their ideas truly are. And it gives me not only confidence, but inspires me to continue the work that I'm doing, to continue working with young people, because I really think they have a huge part to play in this conversation moving forward.
Well, I got involved in Plastic Pioneers because I believed that I could make a difference and personally help change the way plastic's used.
Love to look after the planet, and I really want it to carry on so that other people get to like it as well. Like the animals, they're dying, and future generations might not be able to see that. Since I joined Plastic Pioneers in my school, we've stopped using plastic bottles and we give out fruit every day. We've also gone out on a litter pick in the community to get rid of all the rubbish.
Ever since I was younger, I've always been interested in how our planet works and what actually happens behind the scenes. And our species, we have a large impact on our planet, and we do a lot of things to it, but sometimes we just don't realise the huge impact that we do actually have. Our school changed quite a bit. We've had a few meetings with our catering managers as well. We're trying to cut out plastic bottles in our school, and we've given out every child a reusable plastic bottle because we're going to completely wipe them out of school soon. And we're trying to change the plastic packaging. It is a long, hard process, but we will get there and we're determined to do it.
I got involved with Plastic Pioneers because I was very devastated on how everybody was treating the world, that I wanted to step forward and help.
What made me get involved was helping the community, helping the earth with Plastic Pioneer, and getting the plastic off the earth to make the earth a better place for animals and creatures.
I wanted to help the environment and get rid of plastic. We've moved plastic bottles out of the cafeteria, and we've been bringing plastic bottles and we fill them up at the fountain instead of buying plastic bottles. I enjoyed today because I get to meet new people and see what they would think about the environment.
I think it just kick-starts sort of a movement within the school. I think it's sort of been a big motivator for me to branch out to staff and get people to do things and just get the word out there about how big a difference a school can make in terms of the environment.
It's enabled me to put different ideas into school and expand it out, so it's not just our small group now working towards it, is now becoming much more school-wide. The Ultimate Challenge has been incredible. Watching the children work together, come up with ideas, network, has just been absolutely fantastic. The pupils have learned a lot. They've learnt facts and figures, but they've also learned that if we all work together, we don't have to try and do everything. But if we can just do little bits, then they can make a difference. They have certainly learnt lots of skills that what we call will make them life ready. So it's given them confidence to talk to other people, to understand that they can work with older pupils, and just to understand that it's good to have ideas.
Working with Plastic Pioneers, it's been a really good opportunity to work with the school to kind of really get stuck into some of the issues around reducing single-use plastic, because some of the stuff is not easy to do, but the fact that we've had a good few months working at it with support from Hubbub and TK Maxx has really kind of helped us kind of make a bit of a difference in school. The Ultimate Challenge Day has been really useful. It's been really nice to meet people from other schools, and I think it's always interesting when you work with people who have come at the same issue but come at it in different ways. So we've kind of learned from other schools, and I think we've come up with some really nice ideas.
So thank you for that. I don't know if you were also suffering from the slight sound picture delay there, but hopefully that hasn't put you off too much, and that's given you some of the ideas for what you can achieve in school, both as pupils and as teachers, and ideally everyone working together. So on the next slide, if we can move to the next slide, please. It's now really over to you, because I hope that inspired you. Now there are hopefully some polling questions in the chat. Now I know a lot of you won't be able to get to the keyboard to type in your answers, so maybe you can find a bit of paper and something to write with, to write down your answers to the questions on the next slide, which we'll get to probably when this video's stopped rolling. So that buys you time to find a bit of paper and a pen or a pencil. And so because it is your turn now to get involved in this collaboration, because I want you to think about how you will collaborate in the next month. So I'm sure that's given you a bit of time to find the bits of paper or get to a keyboard. So the first question is, who will you start an eco conversation with in the next week? So yeah, it's in the next week. There we go. And then the next question is, what action do you hope your conversation can build towards? So if we can get back to that last slide, that would be lovely. Then you can see the question. So just to remind you, who will you start an eco conversation with in the next week? And what action do you hope your conversation can build towards? If you could go back couple of slides, that's it, that's the right direction. Brilliant. And so whilst you're thinking about that, let me give you two examples of where young people I know have started a conversation that has sparked a collaboration. So the first is a young lady called Zinnia, who goes to school on the south coast of England. She really wanted to join the Youth Climate Summit, so she had a conversation with her teacher, who in turn had a conversation with some other teachers. And as a result, a whole load of pupils at Zinnia's school have been attending the Youth Climate Summit this week. So just imagine how many young people have been inspired as a result of that one conversation of Zinnia's. The next young lady is Kayla, who goes to school near Birmingham. She decided she wanted to have a plastic-free birthday party, so she decided to have a chat with her mum as to whether this would be possible. Her mum, of course, supported her daughter, and as a result, Kayla had an amazing single-use plastic-free 10th birthday party. There's a mouthful. Imagine how many plastic-free birthday parties she inspired from that one conversation, and imagine how much plastic that saved. So hopefully you've all written down your answers, because on the next slide, the Youth Climate Summit has asked me to conclude this presentation with 3 points for you all to mull over. So the first one is, drum roll as we wait for the next slide. This is buying you all extra time to be thinking about your responses to those 2 questions. So my vision for the world on the next slide is, if we could move on to the next slide. Well, we'll just go without the slide, shall we? So I need you to sort of close your eyes. That's probably going to be the most useful thing, to imagine my vision, which is a world collaborating together for a greener future. And part of that is I also need for you all to collaborate with me. And that is to state your pledge. And that previous exercise we've just gone through has hopefully helped you form that pledge, which is to start a conversation that leads to collaborative environmental action. So hopefully that is something that I will be hearing about from you all, as to what conversations you've had and what they have led on to create this amazing environmental collaboration. And then finally, for all the world leaders out there amongst you watching this, I would like you to please set an example by working together for a better future for all. So I hope you found this an interesting and inspiring presentation. Sorry about the tech issues. But what I'd like to do is thank you all, and if there are any queries, please pop them in the chat, and do get in touch with me to let me know how your collaborations have gone. I'd love to hear it by emailing me at hello@hubbub.org.uk, which is on the final slide if we're able to get to that. You can also ask your school to join the Hubbub School Eco Tips newsletter. Again, just email me at hello@hubbub.org.uk. Teachers and adults, if you want to get in touch, please find me, Natalie Bayliss, at LinkedIn. But thank you to everyone. Thank you to the Youth Climate Summit. I hope you all enjoy the rest of the day, and you are truly inspired to go on and create some amazing collaborations to protect the planet that we all share. So thank you very much.